Hi, I'm Colin. Welcome to Learn Somatics. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to release the back of the body, straight down the spine and also on the diagonals. So this is really going to make your back feel a lot more comfortable, and also the shoulders and the hips as well. So if you suffer from back tightness and stiffness from the neck all the way down to the tail, this is really going to help your back feel a lot more comfortable. So to begin, we're going to have our hands behind the head for this exploration, and we're going to have our legs out straight. The first thing we're going to do is just gently, you're going to start to press the back of your head straight down into your hands like so. And this is a small movement, so there's not a huge amount for you to see, but when you do this, you're going to feel very clearly this creates quite a bit of tension in your back. And then just let that relax back to rest. When you're ready, then you're going to repeat that, pressing the head straight down into your hands, and you'll feel how it makes your chest kind of lift up and the middle part of your back contract. And then very, very slowly relax the effort of pressing your head back and feel the middle of your back just melt back down again. Let's just do that 2 more times. So just gently pressing the head down. We're just using this press of the head to help us start to feel those muscles in the middle and upper part of our back. And you may even notice that it makes your tail, your bum sort of press down into the bed a little bit as well. And then slowly relax. Okay, let's do that 1 more time. Pressing the head back, feeling the chest lift up, and feeling the tail also press down a little bit in response. And then slowly release. Okay, so let's go to the other end of this now. We were pressing our head. This time bring your attention to your tail, and now you're going to press your tail directly down into the floor. And now you're going to feel this a bit more in your lower back, but you're also going to feel how it makes your head want to press down a bit as well. So just notice that, and then slowly relax back to rest. So we're at the other end now, pressing the tail down into the ground and feeling how that makes the lower part of the back and the middle part of the back contract and lift somewhat. And then slowly relax to rest, as smoothly as you can, as always. So let's do that 2 more times. Pressing the tail down, feeling the back arch, very clear contraction of the back muscles. We're pandiculating gently now, all the muscles of the spine, and then slowly relax to rest. Last repetition, pressing the tail down, feeling those lower back muscles that get very, very tight in response to stress when we're always on the go, and then slowly relaxing completely. Okay, so let's tie that together now. Let's press our head and our tail down. So very gently, press the tail, press the head, and now you'll start to clearly feel how that engages the entirety of the spine, like you're tying the 2 ends together. And slowly relax to rest. And we'll just do that about 3 times, pressing the head back, pressing the tail into the floor, feeling that all the way up the spine, and then slowly releasing. This feels very pleasant, particularly if you have a tight back. Head down, tail down, middle of the back raises up. Feel those back muscles working gently, and then real slow and smooth, let them relax. Okay, now that we've kind of got some control back of these back muscles, let's see what happens if we do the very opposite movement. So this is going to be a small movement. I'm going to have you now lift your head just a little bit off the ground. So let's try that. If we lift just like that, just about 1 inch or so, and you'll probably feel when you do this, your back drops into the floor a little bit. You'll feel your belly just slightly engage, and then come on down. Let's do that again, lifting a little bit, just the head. I'm using my hands to help me a little bit, but if you let your back drop, you'll feel it's your belly actually that kind of picks your head up that little bit. And then slowly come down. And we do that 1 more time, just lifting the head, feeling the back drop down, and you'll feel your pelvis sort of shift position a little bit. And then come on back to the floor. Now, can we do the similar action with the pelvis, right? We were pressing our tail down. This time now, you're not going to lift your pelvis, but you're going to just roll your tail off the floor a little bit, and you'll feel that makes your low back press into the ground. And then let that relax. And we'll do that a couple of times, just rolling your tail off the floor. So you're kind of rolling your pelvis back towards your head a little bit to roll the tail off the floor. You'll feel your belly tighten again, and then slowly relax. And I'll do that one more time. Pressing the low back into the floor, rolling a little bit the pelvis back towards the head so the tailbone sort of rolls up off the floor slightly. And then relax. All right, so let's tie those two actions together now. So we're going to do the action of the head and pelvis again, but lifting this time. So a little lift of the head, a little roll up of the tail, and you'll feel the roll of the tail back towards your head makes your head lift even a little more, and then slowly back to rest. And again, we're going to do this 3 times. Just a little lift of the head, the back drops, the tail rolls up. Your legs might respond a little bit to that. You can see there, they might stiffen ever so slightly and come back down. And again, lifting the head, rolling the tail up a little bit. So the back drops in the middle. So it's the opposite action to what we had when we were pressing down with our head and tail. And relax. Okay. Now, let's briefly alternate between those 2 positions. So head and tail press down, the back raises up, arches up, relax, head lifts, back drops, tail rolls up, and relax. And repeat, head and tail down. And notice that the middle does the opposite of what the ends are doing. So the head and tail presses down, the back arches up, and then the head and tail roll up, and the back drops down. So you're starting to see the relationship here between the head, the tail, and the middle of the body. One last time, press the head and tail down, back arches, and then let the back drop as you lift the head a little bit and roll the tail up off the ground. And come to rest. Okay, let's see what we've got. Let your arms down by your side. And just take a moment to assess. Now, if you've taken your time doing that, your back should feel quite comfortable already now. You should feel like perhaps there's more of your spine resting on the floor, better contact, and just a nice softness through the back of the spine. Okay, so let's continue on this thread. Take the hands behind the head again, and we're going to bring our attention now to our left shoulder. From here, just gently press your left shoulder down into the floor. And you'll probably notice how this creates a bit of a diagonal arch in your back. There's a bit of a lift in the back. And it sort of heads over towards the back of your right hip. And from there, slowly let that relax. And we'll repeat that just 3 times. Pressing the left shoulder down into the floor, feeling the back of the right hip press a little into the floor, and then slowly release. Last time, pressing the left shoulder down, right hip also gets heavy, and then relax. So we're using the same idea we used with the head and tail, but we're on the diagonals now. So let's bring our attention down to that right hip, and we're going to press the right hip down into the floor. And again, you'll feel a bit more arch in the lower part of your back, but you'll also feel how it makes your left shoulder press down. You cannot do one movement without the other. And then slowly release. And then repeat, pressing the right hip down. Feel how the middle of your back lifts up, but it's on a bit of an angle now this time. It's on a diagonal. Slowly release. And we do that one more time, pressing that right back of the right buttock or hip down into the ground. Feeling how it creates tension in the back of the left shoulder. And then slowly release. So we're going to build up on this again. We're going to press our left shoulder down, press our right hip down. And now that diagonal is very clear. Across the back of the body from the left shoulder to the right hip. Slowly relax. And we'll do that just 3 times. Left shoulder presses down, back of the right hip presses down. Middle of the back lifts. Slowly relax to rest. And last time, left shoulder down, right hip down, and slowly relax. Okay. Now, when we did the head, we also, after we'd pressed down, we explored lifting. So this is going to feel a little different in this position with the shoulder, but again, just can you now lift a little bit the left shoulder off the ground? And if your elbow comes with it, that's fine. Just notice what that feels like, to lift ever so slightly that left shoulder off the floor. And then release. And the next time you do that, I want you to notice what happens at your right hip. As you begin to lift the left shoulder up, you might feel how that right hip kind of lifts a little off the floor as well. So again, it's this relationship from the top to the bottom, through the trunk, and then slowly relax. And we'll do that one more time, lifting the left shoulder up, feeling the back drop, and feeling that right hip just ever so slightly start to pick up off the floor a little bit. And then come to rest. So let's do this from the other end, from that right hip end. You're going to gently, can you lift the front of the right hip a little toward the ceiling, let your back drop into the floor. And again, you'll feel it makes the left shoulder hip want to lift up a little bit. These connections are becoming very clear now. And repeat, right hip up. Feel that how it pulls across the front of the body to the front of the left shoulder. Slowly release. And last time, lift the right hip up. Feel that pull, let the back drop, and then slowly release. So even though these are very small movements, as you do them, you'll notice that there's a lot to sense. There's a lot of sensation. There's a lot to feel. If we can feel a lot of muscle action, we can get a lot of release. Okay, let's tie this left shoulder and right hip together along the front. This time we're going to lift our left shoulder up a little, lift the right hip up a little, and now you're going to let the back drop. Clearly feel that diagonal across the front, and then slowly release. And we'll do 3 of these. Left shoulder, right hip, both lifting a little bit. And if you let that back drop in the middle, you'll feel it's a bit easier to do that action. And we'll do that one more time. Left shoulder up, back drops. And then slowly release. Okay, now let's just a couple of times alternate between pressing the left shoulder and right hip down and then lifting a little bit the left shoulder and right hip up. Press the left shoulder down, right hip down. Feel the arching in the back. Slowly relax. Lift the left shoulder up. Lift the right hip up. Slowly relax. Press down. Left shoulder, right hip. Come to rest. Lift up. Left shoulder, right hip. And make sure you let your back drop. And last time, press the left shoulder and right hip down. And then slowly come into the left shoulder, lifting right hip, lifting position. And then relax. Let your arms down by your side and take a break. That should have provided even further comfort for your back now. And you may notice that the diagonal between your left shoulder and right hip feels very clear in your awareness, whereas perhaps the opposite diagonal may feel a little vague in comparison. So every time we press down with the head or the shoulder, we're engaging those back muscles. Same with the hip, whether it's the back of the right hip or the central part of the back. All right, so obviously we want to do the other diagonal. Pop your hands behind your head again, and we'll go through this a little more briefly on this side. Let's just do 2 repetitions of each. So start with that right shoulder, pressing down. Feel how it creates an arch on the diagonal across to the back of your left hip. Slowly release. And do that one more time, pressing down with that right shoulder. Let the back arch up. See how that helps you press your right shoulder down. And of course, as soon as you arch the back of the left hip starts to weigh down into the floor as well. And then release. 2 times, let's do the back of the left hip into the floor. So press the left hip down into the floor. Again, you'll feel how it makes the back arch and it creates pressure in the back of the right shoulder. And then slowly relax. And we'll do that one more time also. Left hip presses down, back arches, right shoulder gets heavy. Slowly relax. And now 2 times, let's put that together. Pressing the right shoulder down, pressing the left hip down, feeling the arch across the back of the body on the diagonal. Re-establishing that connection from shoulder to opposite hip, and then slowly releasing. And then doing that one more time. Shoulder back, hip down, back arches. Make sure you've got a clear connection, diagonal, across the back of the body from right shoulder to left hip. And then slowly just let that melt. Okay, your back should be starting to feel very comfortable now at this point. All right, so we want to lift now 2 times the different elements. So we're just going to gently lift that right shoulder up. Again, if the elbow comes with you, that's absolutely fine. And then slowly release. And we do that one more time, just gently lifting that right shoulder, feeling the back kind of press into the floor, drop into the floor a little bit. And slowly release. And now we're going to lift the left hip toward the ceiling a little bit or off the floor. Again, you have to let the back drop. You feel that? That's the only way you can let the left hip come away from the floor. You'll feel it across your body into the right shoulder. Slowly release. And we'll do that one more time. Lifting the left hip away from the floor, letting the back drop, and noticing how that inevitably causes the right shoulder to also lift a little bit. And then pause at rest. Okay, so 2 times, let's lift the right shoulder and the left hip at the same time. Again, if you got to let the middle of your back drop down, and then slowly release. And we'll do that once more. Clear connection between the diagonals across the front. And relax. Okay, so let's just a couple of times alternate between pressing the shoulder and hip down and lifting the shoulder and hip up. So press that right shoulder down, press the left hip down, feel your back arch. Slowly let that relax. Lift your right shoulder up, let your back round or drop, and let your left hip pick up, and then release. And then do that one more time, pressing the right shoulder down, finding that diagonal left hip presses down also, and then slowly relaxing. And then a final lift of the left hip and right shoulder up as we let the back drop. Feeling that tension across the front of the body. The back of the body is lengthening out somewhat. And then slowly relaxing to rest. Okay, let your arms be straight. See how that feels. So the back of your body should be feeling quite comfortable now. You've got your entire spine, back of the shoulder, back of the hips. Everything should be nice and soft. Let's just do one more brief little exploration with this. We're going to alternate between the different actions. We'll just do a couple of repetitions of this. Press the head down, press the tail down, let the back arch. Slowly release. Lift the head a little bit, lift the tail, let the back drop. Slowly release. Press the left shoulder down and the right hip down. And relax. And then lift the left shoulder and the right hip. Back drops and relax. Press the right shoulder and the left hip down into the floor. Feel the back arch. Slowly soften. And then lift the right hip, left shoulder up, letting the back drop. And slowly release. And we do that one more time around. So head and tail down. Head and tail lift. Left shoulder, right hip down. Left shoulder, right hip lift. Right shoulder, left hip down into the floor. Right shoulder, left hip up. And then relax. If you've done that slowly and carefully, your back should be feeling much more comfortable now, much more soft, and just generally longer and more open. So that's a nice sequence to get a good release on the entire back of the trunk, spine, find those diagonals and just make everything feel a lot more comfortable. Give that a try. Let me know how you get on. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.